Honorable members, I declare this 60th meeting of the National Assembly of the 12th Parliament of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana to be duly constituted and in session. The clerk will lead us in prayers.
Almighty God, we who are here gathered together, do most humbly beseech thee to guide us in all our consultations, so that we may together build a land where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, and where words come from the depth of truth. Grant us, O God, the need and guidance, so that we may deal justly with the several causes that come before us, laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and personal preferences, so that the result of our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion, the preservation of justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the President, and the peace and prosperity of Guyana. Grant us, O God, a vision so to lead that all the people of this fair land, men to that state of brotherhood and unity, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action.
Amen. Thank you. Honorable members, please be seated.
Messages from the President. Announcements by the Speaker.
Go ahead. No announcements.
Presentation of petitions, presentation of papers and reports, etc. Reports from committees, oral questions without notice, questions on notice.
Honorable members, there is only one question on today's order paper. This question is for oral reply and is in the name of the Honorable Member, Mr. Jermaine Figueira. The question is for the Honorable Minister of Health. Honorable Member, Mr. Figueira.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this question is primarily related to the new headquarters of the Ministry of Health. And my question is, what date was the termination of the contract for the new headquarters building in 2020?
Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Anthony.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the honorable member for the question. The date for the termination of the contract was on the 31st of October 2020.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Follow up, Honorable Member, Mr.
Yes,
Figueira.
yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Can the Minister also provide us with the cost of the original contract?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the cost of the original contract was $365 million.
Thank you, Honorable Member, Mr. Figueira.
Additionally, sir, can the Honorable Minister provide us with the reasons why this contract was terminated?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for us to understand why the contract was terminated, we probably need to go back into the background of this contract. So in 2017, Mr. Speaker, the ministry head office was designed by an in-house team, and they did the drawings and they estimated that it would cost about $546 million. That's the engineer's estimate. A contract was signed with Chung Global on the 8th of November 2017 for $365 million. And they were given 12 months in which to complete this contract. And the contract started 14 days after the signing. On the 27th of November 2017, the contractor received an advance payment of $71.2 million, and that was 20% of the contract sum. Mr. Speaker, in 2018, from the Auditor General's report, On the 9th of April 2018, well, first of all, on the 9th of April 2018, that was when the Ministry of Health, or Ministry of Public Health as it was known at the time, decided to contract a supervisory firm to look over the construction of the ministry head office. That firm was VICAP. In 2018, 2 additional payments were made to Chung Global. The first one for $34.5 million, and the second one was for $48.8 million. But from the Auditor General's report, the Auditor General stated that little or no work was done by the end of December 2018. Mr. Speaker, in 2019, Mr. Speaker, in 2019, again from the Auditor General's report, he stated by the 29th of July 2019, 21 months after the signing of the contract, 21 months after the signing of the contract, only foundation work was completed and some work was started on the erection of a steel frame. And when they visited the site, there were 3 workers on the site. 3 workers were working. Mr. Speaker, VICAP, who was contracted to supervise this work, said there were numerous instances of substandard work. And they have many examples of substandard work. For example, on the 11th of February 2019, ground beams were found to be substandard. And these defects were pointed out. There were cubes that were collected, and when they were tested, they all failed. And the testing for these cubes were done at the University of Guyana and at the Ministry of Public Works at the time. All failed. And so they had to break out the works that were done there, and they had to do back a whole set of works, which added to the cost. Mr. Speaker, in 2020, on the 8th of September 2020, works remained incomplete. And again, as per the Auditor General's report, when they visited at the time, there were 4 people who were working on the site. So they improved by 1. And this was 9 months after the project was scheduled to be completed. As such, the Auditor General recommended that liquidated damages should have been instituted, but there was no evidence that the ministry implemented any liquidated damages. At the end of 2019, the contractor received $304.5 million, or about 85% of the contract sum. And payments were made, Mr. Speaker, without valuation of 6 payment certificates, which total about $233.1 million. There was no valuation certificate. And works remain incomplete. Mr. Speaker, the incomplete works included rendering of the HCB walls, ceiling works, painting of the internal and external wall, electrical and AC units installation, installation of the lifts, tiling works, plumbing works, additional furnishing. So a lot of things were not done.
What was done? Let's ask what was done. The list might be short.
I think so, yeah. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General then recommended in 2019 that the head of budget agency take immediate actions to activate the applicable stipulations of the contract, including termination of the contract and recovery of the sums paid. At that point, Mr. Speaker, for the works that had to be completed, an estimate was done, a bill of quantities were done for the remaining works. And it turned out that for the building to be completed, the contract had to be increased to about $870 million. And so, from the sums that were given of $304 million, the contractor wanted $513.3 million more to complete the works. In addition to all of this, Mr. Speaker, when we check the performance bond, this was expired 1 year prior, and therefore to levy against the contractor proved very difficult. Mr. Speaker, based on this history, on all that I've just said, this contract was terminated on the 31st of October 2020, and we then put in motion the legal proceedings against the contractor and decided to go out to get a new contractor to finish the building.
So no bright money here.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you, Honorable Minister. Honorable
Mr.
Member,
Speaker,
Mr.
thank you very
Figueira.
much for your very lengthy explanation. And with all of the observation identified in your explanation, can you inform us what are the new modifications to the very said contract, to the new contract, and how much is the actual cost of it?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, based on the list of defects that were there, I just mentioned some of them: the ceiling, the windows, the lifts, the plumbing to be done, the external wall, internal wall, all of these works had to be done. And so we awarded a new contract, and that contract cost $436 million to complete the work. But, Mr. Speaker, one of the things that we are discovering as work is continuing on the building is that the external wall of this facility is porous. In the last rains that we have, the building was leaking. Water was coming through the supposedly concrete walls. And not only is water coming through, mold is now on the walls. And so we now have to go and clean the mold on the wall. More so, the area that was set aside for the lifts, when they did the structural analysis on that area, it cannot accommodate a lift because the engineering that was done, if you install a lift there, it is going to collapse. And therefore, we now have to come up with a different engineering solution to go and fix the lift.
Keep talking, Frank. Keep talking.
And there are numerous other defects that we had to correct and modify, and that is why we now have to spend close to $436 million to fix the defects that we found.
Good life for us.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Figueira.
All your PSA, Kwani.
Hold up, Kwame, hold up.
With regards to the new contract, Honorable Minister, can you say what is the percentage of works completed thus far as of the 31st of October 2020?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, with the new contract at the 31st of October 2022, 91% of the works were completed.
Wow.
And the project is going to come to an end, hopefully by the end of February, so that the staff of the ministry can now move into that building after all that lengthy correction that we have to do.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for the detailed answer.
Mrs.
Honorable Member, Mr. Minister Kwame McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, Honorable Member, could you say whether any steps have been taken to institute legal proceedings against those who are culpable for this tragedy that we have at the Ministry of Health?
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. The Attorney General has taken the necessary steps to take legal action against the contractor, and so those steps are in progress.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member,
Yes, just,
Minister Ramson.
just one question that I'm confused about in relation to the supervising firm. So, in relation to project management and government works, contractors are paid subsequent to work completed, with the exception of a mobilization advance. So the work is evaluated, and then a certificate is issued by the responsible department. What I'm trying to clarify, because you said additional payments were made, identified by the Auditor General as works that had not been completed within the 12-month contracting period or contracted period, additional payments were made. On what basis were additional payments made for work not completed, and was it the supervising firm that would have signed off on the work, even though identified some of the problems, or was it from the engineering department, the technical services department?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the Auditor General's report, 6 of those payments, the valuation of those payments were not done. The contractor apparently was just paid, and they were paid different sums of money that amounted to $220-something million. So this payment was made without any proper valuation, and as far as I can tell, the supervisory firm did not sign off on those payments, yet the payments were made. In addition to that, is $71 million that were advanced. 26 million of the 71 was used to do works that were not in the contract. These works included building a bridge, a concrete bridge that supposedly cost $7.9 million. It was also to build some hut for drivers and some other miscellaneous type of work, which resulted in using $26 million that was not authorized. And all of this is in the Auditor General's report, and it keeps recurring.
Thank you, Minister. Mr. Clerk.
Statements by ministers, including policy statements.